Hello, my brothers and sisters. Thank you so much for joining me today. So, this will be our second sermon for the Kenya congregation, for all you beautiful people there. And today we're going to be talking about emotions, because emotions are such a huge part of human life, but we're not really taught about how to handle the emotions that we experience or how to deal with them in healthy ways. So, there are times when we get triggered. There are times when someone says something and we get hurt, or when something happens in our lives and we might feel fear, or we might feel anger, or we might feel sadness. These are times when we're triggered. So that's what a trigger is. Something happens, and then emotions come up in us. The first and most important thing to remember about this is that we'll often try to use our minds to take care of the emotions when they come up. But emotions are not processed in the mind. The mind just gets in the way. Emotions are processed in the body. So whenever you have a trigger come up, the way to actually let yourself process it is to get still, slow down, and feel the body. You'll feel anger coming in, or you'll feel a contraction of fear, or you'll feel like a void of the sadness, and just feel it in your body. And just breathe with it. Just allow it to be. When you have an emotion come up, if you can observe it and be with it and breathe with it and relax into it in the body, then this emotion will pass in 15 minutes or less. So many times we get an emotion come up and it's too much for us to deal with in the moment. So we try to push it away, or we try to get distracted, or we try to tell ourselves, no, I should feel this way. But all of these are just different ways of pushing the emotion out of our awareness, out of our conscious mind. And it doesn't go away. Our emotions don't go away until we process them. So when we're good at suppressing our emotions, we get upset, we push it down. We get afraid, we push it down. We get angry, we focus on something else. We get sad, we tell ourselves, oh no, I shouldn't be this way, I should be like that. And all of these push the emotions down to where we still feel them, but we can't see them. We're not aware of why we're feeling and how we're feeling. And we're not aware of the ways that it influences our experience of life. So again, whenever you have an emotion come up, whenever you are triggered, whenever you are hurt, the key is to get still and get slow. Tune into the body and allow it to play out. Allow it to go on its own little course of rising, peaking, and falling. And all of that will happen on its own if we don't try to make the feeling go away, if we just allow it to be what it is and let it process in the body. So I would like to explain to you a little bit about the human experience so that you understand this better. And I have an image that I like to share, and it is a pin through 4 sheets. So the first sheet is physical. It's our body and the tension that we hold in our body. The second sheet is our emotions, our heart, our feelings. The third sheet is our stories, our ideas. And the fourth sheet is our energy, the whole amalgamation of what is going on in our field. So whenever you have something come up, you can address it on any one of these layers. So for example, when you have anger come up, you'll feel it in the body. Parts of the body will tense up, parts of the body will shift. Your first sheet, the physical, carries this anger in a certain way. The second sheet, the emotional, that's the anger itself. The third sheet is the stories, the reason that we have come into this space of anger. And the fourth sheet, we can't see this. This is the energy that we carry around us. It's our connection to source. Now, anytime that we have something come up, we can come in from whatever sheet gives us access. So if we have an emotion come up and it's hard for us to handle, we don't have to deal with that in the emotional space, we can deal with it in the body. So it's easiest to access through the body. We bring our attention to the body, feel the pattern of tension that happens in the body from the emotion, relax and breathe. Or sometimes we've gotten upset because of the story that we have. We look at a thing and we interpret it. We make sense out of it. And the way that we make sense out of it hits our emotions. So sometimes we can look at how we're understanding the situation, the stories that we're using to make sense of it, and realize that we can shift those stories and look at things from a different perspective. And one perspective that we can always use is that the Lord gives everything that we experience in our lives. The Lord gives this to us so that we can grow, so that our little I can get closer to the big I. So even when we're experiencing pain and challenge, this is something that is gifted to us so that we can grow. So whenever you experience something that hurts or that brings up some emotions that are hard to handle, remember that in some way that is hard for you to see, the Lord is blessing you right now, giving you strength, giving you clarity, giving you what you need to help to navigate your future situations. Now, when dealing with emotions, something that I alluded to just now is that it is our story that causes us to interpret the situation in a way that hits the emotions, in a way that makes us feel something. So we have, in this moment of our experience, we have the bubble of our senses. We have what we can see and hear and smell and feel and taste. And then we have our stories. And some of these stories are the names that we apply to things. Not just what I'm feeling, but this table, this plant, this idea of what it means. So we have what we sense, what we observe, what we feel. We have the story that we use to make sense of it. And then we've got the charge, the emotional charge that we hold in our field. And whenever something comes up, it's because the thing that we have seen or experienced has struck our emotional charge. So we don't need to change the thing out there. When something hurts, it's shown us emotions that we're carrying around deep inside that we can then let the body process and clear. And the clearer that we get, the more of this emotion that we process, the more clearly we can hear the I am. And the closer the little I and the big I can come together. So again, the way to work with emotions in the body is to allow them. Don't resist. Don't try to make them go away. Every emotion that comes up in your body, it's got a time limit. It won't last forever. And when it comes up, when our emotions are all fired up, we can't see clearly. We see a cloudy bit through the lens of our triggered emotion. So when an emotion comes up, get still, get slow, and relax. Don't resist anything. Allow yourself to feel it in the body. And this will help to make you more healthy, because health means free flowing energy, no blockages, no tensions, no obstructions. When we hold feelings in our emotional space for a long time, they can actually transform into health challenges. So the smoother and more free and more clear that we are inside, the more easily our body can function in a healthy way. And that means that we can stand in service to our brothers and sisters more effectively. So the more that we clear the emotions that come up, the better servants of the Lord we are in every moment of our lives. And the healthier we are, and the more that we can enjoy our lives, the blessing of this life that we have been given. Pain comes in when we have stuck points of energy, when we are holding on to specific ideas. So let's say I have this idea of who I am, and you say, no, you're not like that. Well, because I'm attached to this story of who I am. And because your words strike against that story, that creates tension, that creates pain inside. If I'm able to let go of that story, then there's nothing for it to strike against. And then suddenly, no more tension. We're not brought to a place of pain by the things that we experience. So the key here, again, out of the head, into the body, and relax. Don't try to resist. Don't try to make it go away. Just breathe and allow it to process in its own time and in its own way. So what this does for us, slowly, is it allows us to unguard our heart. It allows us to open our heart space and invite the new energy from the Lord, from the world, from all the things around us. Because when our heart is closed, which we do this to protect ourselves from pain, when our heart is closed, we also block out opportunities. We also block out new friendships or new connections or blessings. The more that we close our heart, the more that we say to the Lord, no, I will not accept it. So what we're doing in clearing our old emotions is learning to unguard the heart and open back up. But to keep ourselves protected with an open heart, we then have to learn boundaries. And boundaries are where one person ends and the other person begins. So you are sovereign of your emotional space. You are sovereign of your body. And this space right around you, this bubble, what happens in this space is your choice. What happens in your heart space is your choice. When we learn boundaries, we learn how to speak up when someone has acted in ways that do not work for us. And we learn how to speak up not with anger or defensiveness. And we learn not to keep a lid on it and then let it explode later. We begin to notice where we are and what we're feeling. And when something is happening that is not working for us, we learn how to express, hey, this thing is not working for me. And the more that we can do this from a place of compassion and respect, the more that we can make sure our own boundaries are taken care of while still forming close connections with our tribe, with our community, with all the people with whom our fates are intertwined. So remember, there's a difference between being nice and kind. When we're kind, we act in support of the growth of those around us. When we're nice, we try to do things that they will like so that they will like us. It's not important to be nice. It's very important to be kind. So to move from a place of respect and consideration for all of the others that are impacted by our actions and words. Also, every single one of us is responsible for our own needs and for our own emotions. We are here to stand in service. We are here to stand in service to the Lord and to the earth and to one another. But if we wish to stand in service effectively, we have to learn to meet our own needs. We have to learn to practice self-care. And then when we filled our cup up, that's when we can help by filling others' cups up. When we have taken responsibility for our needs and our feelings, and when we make space regularly to process the feelings that come up and to express our boundaries when they have been crossed, we fill up our cup so that we can more effectively stand in service to others. So this is all I wanted to share with you for this sermon. Thank you so much for joining me. My blessings to you, and I wish you a beautiful day.